Hi Tyria, happy Friday and welcome to Guild Chat. I'm your host Ruby and I am so glad that you've decided to spend this time with us today. This is our last Guild Chat of 2021. We've all had so much fun sharing all of these little End of Dragons previews and tours with you since July. And since this is our last show, we want to end on a high note. We have a lot of stuff to share with you today. We're going to talk about legendary weapon variants for End of Dragons. We're going to introduce some new story characters and tell you more about other story characters that you've already heard about. We're going to take a tour of the Isle of Reflection Guild Hall that you just saw the preview video of. And we're going to talk about the Arborstone Revitalization Mastery Track. We have a whole bunch to get through, and I know you're all really excited to hear about this, so we're going to jump right into it. Not going to make you wait super long. Let's start with the legendary weapon variants. Back on July 27th, during our First Look live stream, we gave you that little peek at the legendary weapons. And we've got a quick video just in case you weren't there or if you've forgotten because it's been a while and 2021 has been weird. We're going to give you a quick refresher of what we talked about back then.
I'm Chelsea Mills, and I'm a senior prop artist. In End of Dragons, we're introducing 16 new legendary weapons, all available on release day. This set of legendaries is inspired by the Elder Dragon Aurene, who plays a significant role in the End of Dragons story. From an art perspective, we wanted the legendaries to show Aurene's journey with the commander, from the first time you meet her as an adorable little hatchling, to now all grown up as our own Elder Dragon. The precursors represent baby Aurene, while the legendaries represent adult Aurene. Aurene is one of my favorite characters, and I'm so happy that we got to create a legendary set based on her. I can't wait to see players running around in-game with the legendaries.
I'm with Chelsea. I'm looking forward to this. Chelsea and a lot of our other developers have been hard at work since, well, for a very long time, but especially since that First Look live stream in July. And the thing about these legendary weapons, this Aurene set that Chelsea talked about, Aurene isn't our only Elder Dragon. We have more. So the way this is going to work is that at End of Dragons launch, you're going to get that core Aurene set, and then we will be releasing, actually, yeah, there's a preview of the core Aurene set, and I have a little something extra for you in just a minute. But we're going to keep releasing legendary weapon variants based on the other Elder Dragons in the game. So like Jormag Krakatorrik, Mordremoth, you're going to get versions based on that. Here's a little preview just so you can get a look at like what the greatswords will look like. These are, each variant is going to use the style and effects based on that dragon. There's also going to be a new visual effect. And I think probably the best way to preview it is in game. So let's take a look at a couple of the Aurene weapons that I have on my character now. This is the Aurene, this is the short bow. It is gorgeous and I love it. I'm just going to turn my character around a little bit so you can get a good close-up look at that and how the effects are very much like the Aurene, the Elder Dragon grown Aurene that you see in the Hall of Monuments right now. And let me just unhide my UI real quick because I think also it's going to be kind of fun to start some trouble. There is, and we can also see the footfalls. There is a Naga right around here. So when you go into combat, come on. Okay, yeah, he did not love that. Nope. I'm gonna just take him out real quick and give you a look at what this looks like. That death blow effect is a new effect that will come with these legendary weapons. You will occasionally get that when you kill. It's kind of a finishing style effect, and you'll also see when you first go into combat and swap weapons while you're in combat, you get a little effect on there too. So the variants, the way this is going to work, the variances are appearances. You forge that core Aurene legendary weapon, and then you will go on a journey with it to start unlocking the magic of other elder dragons and bringing that into this legendary weapon. So all of these awesome great swords that we gave you a preview of and all of the other legendary weapons that will be released as part of those variants, you just have to forge that basic weapon once, and then you do your gameplay to unlock it in other ways. The other thing that I want to mention about that, because I'm pretty sure people are asking, these legendary weapons, the core Aurene weapons and their precursors, are going to be tradable. So you can trade those with others in the game. You can get them on the trading post. You can put them on the trading post after you forge them. And if you are super excited about that, you can get a head start on them right now with the legendary precursor that you get through Living World Replay. If you have missed some of those achievements, they're permanent, so you can still work on those between now and End of Dragons and just get a little jump on things. There's a lot more to tell about those, but we have a lot to get through today as well. So as soon as this show's over, we're going to be publishing a post on our website from 3 of the developers who are working on this that give you more information about these weapons. But there's your preview, and we're going to move on and talk about some of these story characters with our first couple of dev guests. Let's start with Morgan. Hi.
Hi everyone, I am Morgan Lockhart, and I am a senior writer here at ArenaNet, working on all things End of Dragons. I wrote a bunch of the chapters of the Golden Path. I also worked on the Ekavald Wilds map and the Arborstone map, which we'll be talking about later today.
Thank you. And also Kwan, hi.
Hi everyone, my name is Kwan Perng, and I'm the project narrative lead on End of Dragons, and I'm really excited to share some of the characters with you all today.
Yeah. So a quick thing, as always, we are pulling back on spoilers. We want to leave lots for you to find for yourself in game. So we're going to tell you a little bit about these characters, their background, who they are, but we're not going to be digging deep into the story spoilers. So if you don't want those, don't worry, we've got you covered. So why don't we start with June, who we saw in the End of Dragons trailer not so long ago. Who is she? Tell us about her.
Yeah, so June is the owner of Zoomlight Jade, which is the company that's proliferating a lot of this Jade technology that you have all been seeing throughout the trailers and previews. And she's a very brilliant inventor and also a very shrewd businesswoman. And so she has a lot of talents that allow her to excel at what her role is. And interestingly, she was born to kind of a poor family in the Jade Sea. She was raised by a single mother, and those are kind of surprisingly humble beginnings for this character, right?
Yeah, it's humble, and it has meant that she has had to overcome a lot of questions about her talent, her ability, and because of that, she has like really high defenses. And that can sometimes complicate our relationship with her, complicate our interactions with her, where she can take a simple offer of help or advice as being something that is a personal attack on her abilities. She hears, maybe we could do this way, as, you are not capable and you will never be capable. You will never amount to anything. She's always hearing that in her head because of all of these people that constantly ask that of her. And so because of that, she can be a little prickly. She does not like to be questioned. She does like having things her way. And that, like you're saying, that complicates some of our interactions with her. But she's a really wonderful character. One of the things I really appreciate about writing her is that it's a character type that we just don't often see in female identifying characters. And when we thought about our inspirations, we did think of Lady True in Watchmen, but mostly when we were referring to her to our actors or to other people on the team, we brought up a lot of these real world brilliant, pragmatic, but egotistical male tech moguls. And so examining that character through the lens of womanhood has been a really interesting challenge, and I think has created a very fresh character.
Well, how about, I don't want to make a pun that's going to spoil things, but how about Empress Inn? Let's move on and let's talk about her a little bit.
Yeah, so Empress Inn is the current leader of the Canthan Empire. She comes from the Imperial line that's been throughout Guild Wars history before even factions. And she's a very she cares a lot about the people under her, and she wants to do what's best for the Canthan people. But she's come into power at a very tumultuous time. There's a lot of changes in society that are happening between the Jade technology that's kind of changing the culture and the ways of the Canthan people, but also at the same time, in End of Dragons, Cantha is going to reopen, which is a monumental event in Canthan history, right? So she faces a lot of challenges in this position as the Empress.
Yeah, and another very interesting detail that we are going to now share about June is that she was actually the illegitimate child of the previous emperor, which makes her the half-sister of the Empress. However, she was not raised in court. She was not raised with any of those advantages. And so something that's interesting that's happened lately, though, is that there's been this power shift where June has grown in power while Empress Inn has seen some of her own power diminish. And so there's been this sort of flip of their positions, or not flip really, it's more like June has risen to be close to her level, but it's changed their relationship, it's challenged their relationship. It does create some tension, but mostly there is also still a lot of respect. But it is something that plays into that feeds into all of their interactions as two of the most prominent and powerful members of the Canthan society.
Yeah, and she's very interesting because she has like a very commanding presence, as she should as a leader. She's comparable to Queen Jenna, right? And when you meet her, you feel like you've met a world leader. She's just so confident, and
She really has an impact.
yeah, and but at the same time, she has a human side to her, right? And we see some of those more intimate moments, even in the brief time that we see her. And it's really interesting to be able to kind of like peek behind the curtain of royalty during those times.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next character, I do want to call that out, how multifaceted these characters are. And this is something that I've loved as I've been watching these characters come along while you all are working on them and building them out. You have that exterior, you have that professional side that we're all interacting with as players, but they have a history, they have interactions, they have background that complicates who they are, and they have that internal, that human, that more vulnerable side that is, it's subtle, it's not like hitting you in the face, but it is very much informing who they are, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's really present in our next character, which is Minister Lee, he's the head of the Ministry of Security, which is basically the modern version of the Ministry of Flame. And he's a very proud Canthan. He's a patriot and takes his job very seriously. He takes the security of his nation very seriously. And as a result, he's a little bit distrustful of us as outsiders when we first come to Cantha, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's his job to see that Cantha is safe and to keep track of all these changes, all the people entering, and so that complicates a lot of our interactions with him. And as a traditionalist, he definitely takes this view of the changes that are happening to Cantha in a very wary way. Anything that might change power structures could potentially threaten his place in society, his power, and so he's very wary of all that. But at the same time, he is a politician, he is skilled at what he does, and every interaction with him is incredibly nuanced. You can always tell he's operating on a few different layers. And his voice actor, Patrick Gallagher, does an amazing job bringing that nuance to the performance.
Yeah, and even though his character comes across as very aggressive or stern, and the many characters in the game around him who work under him or with him feel the same way about him. June has to interact with him, and she
they are not friends.
Yeah, she feels that way about him. At the same time, there's a warmth almost that may be going too far.
That might be too far.
A sentimentality beneath his kind of hard exterior that. Oh, sorry, I'm being made aware of a mic issue.
Oh.
There's a sentimentality beneath that comes across when he interacts with Detective Rama, who's a character that we're going to see later this month, and they have almost like a mentor-mentee relationship, or even like a father-son relationship, and
Yeah, actually, a quick thing on that. You mentioned
Yeah.
we're going to meet a couple of characters later this month. As we get closer to Winter's Day and the end of the year, keep an eye on our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook channels, because we have a couple of videos from our voice actors, which is, well, Rama and Yao are going to get some more introductions. So yeah, we'll meet them later this month.
Yep, exactly.
So do we want to move on and talk about Anka?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So before we start talking about Anka, I do want to take a moment and appreciate
She's so cool.
her
Yeah.
awesome design. I love her outfit, and her eyes are very unique, of course. The Aether Blades, we haven't seen them in a while, and we've created a lot of new crew members to really fill out, make it feel like this is a family of sky pirates that have been in the mist for all these years together. And we previously have killed Horik in the Fractal, who was the first mate to my Trin. He was the Norn with the big cannon. Anka has taken that position as the new first mate to my Trin, and she's a little different. She has a very complicated backstory that we'll lightly touch on. We want to leave some of it for players to uncover in the actual game, but she was working with Goric at Thomanova many years ago before the explosion there, and the experience of that really changed her in a fundamental way, and it was a formative moment in her life, right?
Yeah, and her interactions with Goric, they really, we see her in many contexts throughout the game, and the interactions with Goric are incredibly unique, and she brings out an interesting side of him too. I think fans of Goric are really in for a treat this expansion, but they both bring out these really interesting sides of each other with this shared experience they have. But yeah, she's been on a journey, and it's been a tough one. And because of that, she has this viewpoint that is extremely negative toward sort of all of the powerful figures of Tyria, the gods and the heroes who aspire to wield great power, because she looks at everything that's happened and sort of seems to think that every time that really powerful people get involved, including us, things get worse.
Which was kind of the point of that Joko was making, right?
Yep. Yeah. She is not the first one to make it, but she is the one who, I suppose, acts upon them. But yes.
Yeah. So one thing real quick, you called out her character model, and I do want to, huge shout out to everybody who's been working on the character models, because they're gorgeous, and I love her eyes so much. They are fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But she's not the only Aether Blade that we're going to meet. There are a few others.
Yeah, so we're going to touch on some other Aether Blade crew members, not as deeply, but the first one would be Ivan, who's a dredge Aether Blade, as you can see here.
He's so great.
He is the chief navigator, and he's a very self-serious dredge. He's really a lot of fun. He's extremely loyal to my Trin, and the dynamics between him and Anka and this other character that we're about to talk about make him just such a joy. Steve Bloom plays him and brings just a lot of heart to this character.
Yep.
And the next Aether Blade character is Renyak, who he's a char.
But not like any char you have ever met before.
Yeah, his personality is extremely wild. He is the chief munitions officer, and we're not going to say much about it. What I will say is he has a very explosive personality, and
Quan.
That's one way to put it.
and when you hear his voice when End of Dragons releases, we won't say who he's played by right now, but when you're playing it and you hear his voice, try to imagine who you think plays this character and try to guess, and it will.
You'll probably be wrong.
I want to hear the guesses.
Yeah.
Yes,
As soon
we
as
want
you
your
hear
guesses.
Renyak, I want to know who people think, because honestly, we've talked about the flexibility of our voice actors and this huge range where you can't even tell who they are, but this is a really good one.
Yeah, we gave people so many challenges this expansion, and I think you're all going to be interested to hear about one of them, which is that so many of them got the chance to play a Tengu, and it was really interesting to see what each actor brought to that and what their interpretation of it was, because we really gave people room to play, and some people would think of literal birds and we'd have to pull them back. We're like, no, Polly doesn't
Please
want a
stop
cracker.
screeching.
Please stop screeching. I mean, unless I told you to screech. There's a few times, but we save it. We save it for some key beats. And some people, we thought of, I was very delighted when I figured out that one of our voice actors was picturing a Skeksis from Dark Crystal because I love it. And I was like, that's definitely what they're doing. And it was. At the end, I verified that was their inspiration.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Speaking of Tengu,
Let's talk about Ayumi.
the next character we're going to talk about is one of our named Tengu characters. Her name is Ayumi, and she is a member of the Kestrels. If you saw the Ekavald Wild stream, you'll remember that I talked a little bit about them. They are an organization of protectors of the Ekavald Wilds, and they began in the time of the purges that the Ministry of Purity was conducting, shepherding other Tengu to the Ekavald Wilds. Now, Ayumi is one of them. She was actually not born in Ekavald, though. She was what they call a city Tengu, which is a phrase that is occasionally thrown at her as a negative. But she was raised as a socialite. She was raised somewhat affluent, but her uncle was a member of the Kestrels, and he saw a whole lot of skill in her. So he brought her into the fold, vouched for her, and she did prove to have a lot of skill. But all that said, a lot of the other Kestrels still question how well she understands fundamentally what it means to be a Kestrel.
Yeah, and part of her status as like this city Tengu, as some will call her, she's seen as an outsider in her life, and that's what makes her relate to us when we come there as outsiders, right? And I think her background also is what makes her so adaptive and just kind of sharp at different situations, and she's a very charming character, and I really love this character.
Yeah, and she's open to new ideas. One of the reasons the other Kestrels kind of resist some of her proposals is that she does suggest some change as somebody who's young, as somebody who's new. But the Kestrels do feel like, especially some of these older Kestrels, that the way the Kestrels have been doing things has kept the Tengu and then the people of Ekavald safe for so long. So, she does run against this with a lot of the other Kestrels. But in the end, like, a lot of her ideas are, they're more modern and they are welcomed by many of the other Kestrels, on the other hand, especially when dealing with members of the gangs. If you saw the Ekavald Wilds stream, then you will know that these two gangs play a large part in End of Dragons as a whole, but in particular the Ekavald Wilds, where they are headquartered. And the Kestrels have fallen a little bit behind on dealing with those gangs. They've dug in a little bit more than the Kestrels have ever allowed anyone else to dig into Ekavald. And Ayumi has some ideas about how to fix that, as long as she can be confident enough to advocate for her ideas and that the others can accept it. But because she's young, she doesn't quite have that confidence. But she is somebody who we see grow in confidence over the course of the story.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So mentioning the gangs is a good time. Let's go over to where the gangs are hanging out and talk about who they are and their leaders. Let's start with Jade Brotherhood.
Yes, the leader of the Jade Brotherhood is a man named Cholmu. He was actually the co-founder of Zunlai Jade with June. While June was sort of the more brilliant inventor, he had the business acumen. He had the business ideas. And together they brought the company up. But over time they began to butt heads because they had different ethical lines. Like, June was here, Cholmu was way over here. There were things he wanted to do that were a little bit less ethical that she did not want to do. And so over time he ended up breaking off and forming his own group, which he ended up adopting the name of the Jade Brotherhood, which was actually, it's funny, he has, at one point June accuses him of having a small bag of tricks, which is to say that with Zunlai Jade, they had adopted the name Zunlai Guild by acquiring the old Zunlai Guild for their Jade company. A little bit like AT&T and Singular, Singular buying AT&T using the name. And he kind of did the same thing once he formed his gang, as that, the Jade Brotherhood, this is not the same Jade Brotherhood as Guild Wars 1, but he knew that name would strike fear into those who opposed him.
Yeah, and he was never necessarily as clever of an inventor as June, right? And so in many ways, she kind of outmaneuvered him in terms of like supply chains and things like that. And so I think that is his inability to kind of confront June in like the marketplace is kind of what led him toward like the black market and the criminal underworld, and kind of shaped who he is today.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jade Brotherhood, one of their main business models is ripping off Junlai both literally and figuratively and undercutting them, but also just doing things that Junlai would never do. Building weapons that are building destructive weapons and such, that things that June would never allow Junlai to do. So. They don't have many limits. They don't have many boundaries in the Jade Brotherhood. But the other interesting difference between the two of them is that while June came from this humble upbringing and that she's always sort of fought against this perception, he, on the other hand, came from a very wealthy background, from one of Kantha's most wealthy families, most well-known families. His mom, Matron Park, is somebody we never meet, but who looms large. Her story has spread. And he's actually a really fun character to write because even though we've focused a lot on his negative qualities, he's actually incredibly charismatic. That's one of the things that makes him an effective leader, an effective businessman. And sometimes he brings the party. Sometimes Chulmu brings the party. And yeah, so he's just been, as with all these characters, he was a lot of fun to write.
Honestly, every time you say that he brings the party, I kind of laugh because I can see his weapon. I want him to have the moot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It seems like it would fit. Okay, so on the total other end of that spectrum is Tetra, who I love Tetra's model so much.
Yeah, two characters could not be any more different. She is the leader of the Speakers, which is the other major gang of Ekavald, and not only do they butt heads with the Jade Brotherhood over territory and resource control, it's also, they have completely ideologically opposed. The Jade Brotherhood are all about technology with no limits.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the Speakers oppose the expansion of Jade technology. Tetra is a Warden. Players of Guild Wars 1 will recognize Wardens. They are forest spirits who defend the forest mostly from humans and from the encroach of civilization. The story is that they actually were once Kurziks who went through this ceremony to become these eternal forest spirits. So she's been around a long time, and she sees this approach of Jade technology as something that's a direct threat to the natural world, and has managed to amass these followers, humans, other Wardens, Tengu, a whole motley assortment of people who feel the same way.
Yeah, and Tetra, it's interesting how she's the leader of the Speakers, which is a very kind of diverse group, a diverse gang that has members of many different species, including humans, but at the same time she despises humans, right?
Yeah.
Because of what she perceives they've done in the Ekavald wilds, and that's a very interesting dynamic within the culture of that group.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she has, because she has humans in her group, but she does not disguise her contempt for them.
Right.
I think they are all, they all very much believe in the cause, which is why they deal with it, but she's not very nice to them.
Yeah, she's very direct, right?
Yeah, she's very direct. There is no BS with her. She says what she means, and she means what she says.
No matter how hurtful.
Yeah, no matter how much it might harm her followers.
Yeah, super, super blunt, but she's getting stuff done. So
yeah.
All right, well, that is a run through of some of our characters that are coming with the End of Dragons. Thank you both for spending some time telling us about that. Thank you all. Please don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to come back with a Guildhall tour for you. So we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to our final guild chat of the year. Thank you again for spending this time with us. I hope you're enjoying all of these insights into what's going on with End of Dragons and some little previews. We are ready for our guild hall tour with our next developer guest. Hi, Erin. Thank you for joining.
Hi, thanks, Ruby. Hi, my name's Erin Amschlinger. I am a writer and a narrative designer here at ArenaNet, and I've had the opportunity to work on this expansion pretty much since it began production. And one of the things that I had the chance to write for that Ruby and I are going to show you here today is the Isle of Reflection, which is this expansion's newest guild hall.
Yeah, so if you were here for the Xingje Island map tour way back when, one of the things that we went to was this portal that I am in front of in game. And at the time we said, we're not going to talk about this now, we're going to talk about it more later. And later has arrived. So let's jump in and let's see why, yes, I would in fact like to continue to the Isle of Reflection. Even the load screen, I love the load screen so much, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, this entire section is just visually stunning in so many ways. So Ruby's going to take us on a little tour here.
Yeah, so tell us, where are we? What is this place? Because there's some history here.
Yeah, this is an island off the southern coast of Xingje, which is one of the main areas we'll be visiting in the expansion. And for those of you who have been with the franchise for a while, you may recognize this location from Winds of Change. The guild arena that we're going to be visiting here in a few minutes is actually the same arena that you had defeated Riko Murakami in during that Winds of Change.
Yeah, so we're going to head there shortly, but right now I'm going to go up this way toward the marketplace. And while I'm walking, for those of you who need to capture this guild hall, how does that work? Because this is a little bit different from guild hall to guild hall, so how's it for this?
Sure, I'll give you just a little bit of a rundown of the expedition that you're going to be going on here. So essentially, you have been enlisted by the Canthan government to help out with this island. There have been some reports that there are squatters around the area, just stirring up trouble, basically. So you are going to meet up with Casimir, who we obviously know from the main game, and then two other characters who we meet in End of Dragons, Akane and Bian. And you, with your guild, are going to go through and basically just clean up the riffraff that's roaming around the island and get things back in shape. And then you'll be able to claim the isle for your guild.
Yeah, and a fun thing about this, smaller guilds, this will scale down for smaller guilds. So if there's just a handful of you and you like your small guild friend group, we've got you covered.
Absolutely. The difficulty will be proportionate for you guys.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to note is that some people decorated this guild hall for us. We've been finding decorations in real time. It does not come like this with like random snow off in the corner. But
yeah, the snow is not included.
It is snow sold separately. It is an interesting journey. We've found some fun things. So those of you who decorated it, we love you. You've been making us laugh all morning. All right, so let's look around here. I need to go down a little bit because on my sky scale, I'm like always got to be on the roof.
Yeah, so Ruby is taking us through the more central area of the island right now. We're headed into the marketplace. And for those of you who have played guild halls before, you're going to see some of the same structures you've seen in past guild halls. So I'll just kind of point those out as we go. And any unique decorations worth noting, anything worth commenting on.
All right, let's go this way over to the war room and take a look.
Yep, so like Ruby
So
said,
pretty.
we're making our way to the war room. And so for those of you who play guild halls, this is tied to PvP upgrades, claiming objectives for your guild, etc.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a little loop around here. And say, yes, here's a decoration that we have found. That sure is happening. No, I don't want Griffin, not you right now. I need sky scale. All right, I'll finish this loop and let's head over to the workshop. And I need to open my map again, make sure I understand where I am.
Yeah, the workshop is just a little bit south of where the war room is located, and over there we have plenty of space for crafting, plenty of crafting stations for the scribe.
Yeah, I'm being, so Remember the Jade Sea live stream map tour when Kirk was saying, I can't even look in that direction. There's a reason I'm doing this right now. So we're just going to make a real quick loop through there, and then we're going to leave.
No spoilers.
Let's go over to the tavern now because our priorities are in order.
Yeah, so we're making our way over to the tavern. This place you can socialize, gain experience, buffs, grab a drink after a hard day of gilding, what have you.
Hello.
Eat some sushi. That
I
looks
like,
that's
yeah,
delicious.
that is enough sushi for like 12 people. That's excessive. All right, how about up to the arena?
Sure, and we're gonna swing over to the arena. Or, well, actually, this
All right.
is,
Look, y'all.
we can't leave this on.
That was perfect. Just extremely deal with it. All right, let's go up to the arena and we will. I love him. Thank you, whoever put that there. I love you.
So it's gonna be hard to top that, but
We'll
you know,
try.
we're making our way back to the arena, and this is the area I had mentioned earlier. Where
Balloons.
We can get balloons too.
You can get balloons. It's not included. Oh my gosh,
Also
look at the
sold
waterfall.
separately.
All right, I'm unhelpful. I keep getting distracted by how beautiful it is. But all right, so here's the arena that you mentioned. What's going on here?
We can use this area to practice our combat. It's a lovely seaside location,
Yeah.
and like I said, it has historical significance and in a great spot. So, not a
Yeah.
bad deal.
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. So, speaking of seaside, I'm just going to pop right over here. And let's get my skiff up and running, shall we?
Cool. Yeah, this being an island location, one thing we really wanted to take advantage of was some of the new features we're going to be seeing here in End of Dragons, and one of these Ruby's showing us right now is the skiffs.
Yeah, and if you've been watching skiffs on various Guild Chat episodes, hey, Snow, you'll notice that our icons got an upgrade. One of the things that we've talked about, as this is a work in progress, is things like temporary icons as just little work in progress reminders. Let's see, so I'm looking for a fishing node, and like we've talked about before, you can fish literally anywhere there's water. Fishing nodes just give you a better chance at good stuff happening.
Yeah, just prime real estate for the fish market. And
This is so
yeah,
cool.
we just wanted to let you know as well that past guild halls that have water accessibility, you will be able to use your skiffs there.
Yeah. Anywhere that, well, all guild halls you can fish. Anywhere where there is water deep enough to swim in. Okay. I got distracted talking about fishing and just rammed my boat into a rock. It's fine. Everything is fine. Any place that has water deep enough to swim in, you can use a skiff. All the guild halls you can go fishing in. There are also going to be End of Dragons guild hall decorations as well.
Exactly. So yeah, you can pick those up. Any previous guild hall upgrades that you may have had will also carry over to this hall.
Yeah, you don't have to re-earn those all over again, just like the other guild halls. All right, so that's a little tour of the Isle of Reflection Guild Hall. I'll do this one more time just for people who are screenshotting. All right, we have one more thing. We're going to take you through part of the Arborstone Revitalization Mastery Track. Erin, thank you so much for coming and running us through this with me. And all of you stick around. We will be back in just a couple minutes.
Thanks.
Welcome back to our End of Dragons gameplay overview guild chat. Thank you all again for hanging out with us. We are in the final part of this episode. We're going to go through part of the Arborstone Revitalization Mastery track. If you are familiar with factions, you're familiar with Arborstone, so the look of this might be familiar to you. Joining us to help out with this is Morgan is back. Thank you for sticking around.
Yep, happy to help.
And Annie is joining us from home. Hi, Annie.
Hi, I'm Annie Vandermeer. I'm a senior game designer at ArenaNet. I worked on various parts in End of Dragons, and most notably, what I've been so eager to show you guys for so long now is Arborstone and its associated track.
Yeah. All right, so I am inside Arborstone in game. Morgan's gonna join my party and hop in here. So Annie, why don't you start us by telling us what this place is? What's it for?
So Arborstone is an open world social space that's inspired by and using some of the tech from Sun's Refuge and Eye of the North, and the population right now, size for Arborstone is around about the Eye of the North, but as you can get a sense of here, and we'll definitely see later, it's way bigger. It is a large space. It's heckin' huge. And the mastery is a cool element of it, that the more you put into it, the more you'll see this space develop and open up things like new vendors, and a cool new buff and so on, which we'll show you a little bit of.
Yeah, let's go ahead. And Morgan, what's the story behind this? I'll let you kind of talk to us from what the background is.
Right. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to harass my Kestrel friend here. Yes. So the Kestrels.
Hello.
I've talked about them a few times now. I talked about them with the Ekbald Wilds, talk about them with Ayumi. But the Kestrels are a group that formed in the time of the Ministry of Purity to bring Tengu to Ekbald so that they had a safe location, a safe haven. They taught them to live here. They taught them to live with the elements and to stay out of sight. Now, when the Ministry of Purity fell, the Kestrels stuck around. Even though they didn't have that job anymore, they decided to stay on as these rangers that patrolled and protected Ekbald. Now, when they first arrived in Ekbald, they found Arborstone the way that we left it in Guild Wars 1, a ruin. And they used that ruin as a place to hide, as a waypoint, place where refugees could come and find them and connect. And because it was a ruin, people weren't really patrolling it, they were ignoring it. And then once the ministry fell, they decided to build it. They decided to start rebuilding it, make it a more permanent home. Now, because they're rangers and they're not interior decorators, they are not city planners, they kind of just left it like this. It served their purposes. It's like if they could put down a bedroll and, make themselves some food over the fire, they were happy. But now that they've aligned with the player, they are allowing the player to turn it into more of a proper headquarters and build it up even more.
Yeah. All right, well, let's start looking around because we are just here at the very beginning of this. Annie, where should we go first? You're the tour guide here.
I think the first stop in our tour should be to your left.
All right.
Where we will see the strikes area. This is basically a nice place to gather your party before venturing forth. That person right there will give you access to all of the strikes in End of Dragons, one handy-dandy location. And I can't tell you anything more about those because not that my department. But here's a great place to be able to get stuff, repair your equipment, run around and dance on things like Morgan has been doing, just epitomizing a cat.
One thing that I want to mention, like Annie was saying, you leveled this up for your own mastery track, but this is an open world location, so you're going to see different things than others might be who are at different points on the masteries. So right now, I'm at mastery level 2 for Arborstone Revitalization. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And Morgan is at level 0.
I am the newbie.
I'm the newbie.
Mine's very empty. It's just the way the Kestrels left it.
But Morgan, when we hop over to Morgan's gameplay every once in a while, you'll see kind of the basics when you first come in and what you're going to get. Let's pop over here and talk about that.
Yeah, so you can see the strikes area is accessible right from the beginning, and so is this basic commerce area. You can see that there's a merchant. You can see that there's another repair anvil, and there's another guy that is really cool looking that I can't quite divulge yet. But you can see, I mean, there's room for expansion here. One might say this commerce area has potential.
I would be the one who would say that. There's a little portal that we're just going to talk about later, but I want to take a moment to admire this big scary friend over here because the model is gorgeous.
Don't you just want him to give you a hug?
Okay, I'm conflicted about this. Like we've talked about this, there's a lot of arms for hugging, and this seems like a nice friend.
So much fun. So
But
many arms for
there's-
hugging.
But there's claws at the end, and there's so much potential for like painful pinching.
Oh yeah, a lot of
So
pinching.
I need to think about this. From
I
now,
know.
I will admire from a distance.
I think I'm willing to take the hit
Are you?
for the hug.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we come over here? Let's continue on and see. Oh, hello. I don't like this not one bit. See,
Uh-oh.
they got a hug.
Yeah,
That's
no,
exactly what
yeah.
happened there. All right, let's come
That's
over
actually
here.
some of those grumpy kestrels that I talked about with Ayumi. They don't like us. They're not as
I
happy.
don't like
Not
this.
everybody's as happy that we're here.
All right, so I need to point out this is extremely cat behavior. Someone's sleeping and you're running over their head. Morgan, please. All right, so I've got a couple of, God, you're just like, please, I'm so tired.
Yeah, but I'm a cat. I'm not gonna let him sleep.
You're
But
not
actually,
wrong.
like, wait. So how many refugees?
I have 2 refugees.
I have 1 refugee.
Yeah, so Annie, why did you do that? No. As you level up, more people start filtering in. It gets more populated, and you get more refugees for Morgan to run back and forth over.
Yeah, the kestrels, they didn't make it as welcoming as you, the player, gets to make it, and so you attract more and more people to this space as it grows in purpose, as it grows in comforts.
And all right, let's check out the training area. Let's start right here. This guy's just given up. I can fight no more. Yeah. All right, so tell us about the training area, Annie.
So this is a cool area where the kestrels have been training to shoot well, to kick the crap out of their foes. They've given sparring, and how to move quietly. And there's a cool lecture going on to your left. RE. Like, careful talking, maybe calling on some people in the audience, and then,
Don't
the
call
occasional moment where they just
Call on me.
whack the heck out of that dummy a little bit. And as you can see that between the 2 screens, more and more people show up as this lecture becomes more and more popular. This guy knows what he's talking about. And speaking of people who are well known and good at demonstrating their skills, we have Suko Talonedge over here, who is our hero challenge. And she gives you a lore quiz. No, she
This is not a lore quiz.
Yeah.
It
Nope.
is pain.
It's a
Here
quiz
we have a
in
char.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we have a char for
Oh, yeah,
scale.
for
scale.
She's so big.
Big. She's a
So
big
big.
bird.
Yeah.
Big bird.
Oh, but not like that.
Magnificent orb.
They
She's
are very
wonderful.
beautiful. So beautiful.
She is fantastic. Yeah, so that's the training area. Again, I'm at level 2. There will be more and more here as you level up your Arborstone Revitalization Mastery. All right, moving on in our tour. Where are we heading next, Danny?
We are heading to the right up the stairs, the very long stairs, because again, this is a huge, big old area.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I'm going to
even
fly
these
through the
stairs
chandelier.
is pretty.
So let's come up here, and we're just going to pause.
Yep, we're going to take a little pause here. Just to highlight that even though I keep saying Tengu, 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 the Kestrels are now an organization of a much more expansive organization. Anybody who has a vested interest in keeping Ekabald safe, they're going to be represented within the ranks of the Kestrels. So we have Luxons and Kurziks, and so they've grown in size and in purpose over time. And so it's not just Tengu. This is Stas. You'll interact with him in a few of our quests, and yeah.
Oh, he shoots. He's furious, apparently.
Yeah, I love his mask. You just
let
can't
me
see what's going on with Stas.
It's a quiet anger.
Yeah, quite
He's quietly furious. All right. Well, he
Rakes
is
the
frightening me,
coals.
so up the stairs we go.
Up the stairs we go.
Yeah. We're going to keep on I'm just like, I want to go faster.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna
Got so much to cover.
Yeah, and we're getting up a little bit higher, so I'm just going to kind of move around here and show off this area from up here, but not too close to the edge because I have fallen to my death more than once getting excited and getting too close to the edge.
It is a long way down.
We're high
was
enough where
really
there's birds roosting. All right, let's come over here, and aside from this gorgeous rug, let's look and see what else we have here. Who else we are
So
memorializing.
this is an area that, if you're familiar with Guild Wars factions, one of the most important areas of the game was Tanakai Temple, which was a temple that had tribute areas to some of Kantha's greatest heroes. And this is basically trying to recreate that. So you, of course, get to see tributes to Archimedes and St. Victor. They would argue they are the most important, I'm sure. But also some of those names from Guild Wars factions like Kaolai. And
Hey.
again, just like in other areas, the more you invest in the points in the Arborstone revitalization, the more entries you're going to see pop in. And perhaps people checking out the space and making a little pilgrimage.
Yeah, you see the candles and the pillars here that aren't filled out yet. So I'm excited to see who else.
Who
All right,
shall appear?
onward and
Oh,
upward.
yeah, and speaking of pilgrimages and
Hey.
religious thingies,
Let's see how we time this entrance.
Yeah.
So where are we now? Oh,
So
it was
this-
perfect. Here's the sad guy.
Yeah.
excellent.
So I don't have him on my screen, but but since I wrote him, I know what he's about. But yes, so while a little bit of high-level news did manage to make it to some of the really like high authority figures, the Empress, the heads of the ministries, the average Canthan knows nothing about what happened in the outside world. And so at many points in the story, we are going to be bringing news about all that has transpired to the ordinary Canthan and see the way how they are reacting uniquely to things that have occurred elsewhere. And one of those is the revelations that we share about the departure of the gods, about the death of Balthazar. And the Kurziks, being a very religious people, are mostly not taking that news well, such as him feeling very abandoned. Others, on the other hand, there are quite a variety of reactions. Some people are like, I always thought it was a bit of a crock anyways. But, but most people are pretty broken up about it. So this is a good example of one of those cases where we see how Kantha is adapting to this modern age and all the news that it brings. So.
Yeah. And we have statues of the human gods here. So, and Duena's is the biggest.
Yeah, Arborstone was formerly not the seat of power, but one of the seats of power of House Zuheltzer, which was the most powerful of the 5 ruling houses of the Kurziks. And each one of them had a patron
Disrespectful.
deity. Yeah, got right up on her head
cat.
there. Just having a fun time. And a char.
Yeah.
Char, like,
In charge,
I always thought the
yeah.
gods were done. But Duena
Yeah.
was
Very
the
true.
patron deity of House Zuheltzer, so that's why she kind of has the biggest billing, so to speak, in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And gets her
Sorry, Duena.
head danced on by Char.
I'm kneeling in apology. I'm sorry.
It's
Duena.
showing proper respect.
Aw.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that we've talked about over and over is how this is a work in progress, and there's a lot of gameplay work to be done, but there are also little touches like all of these pews. You're going to be able to sit on those. As soon as someone gets all that seating in, right, Annie?
Yes, that
Yeah.
will be a thing. I'm like, this is a task. It's on my list. I'm trying to think how many butts can fit in those seats. Like, I'm doing the math.
How many butts
I'll
in
get
a
it
single
done.
pew?
All right, I just want to come out here for just a moment and admire the view, because one thing that you'll see as we progress through here is that as the day progresses, the light changes, and it is so dramatic in such a wide, soaring, open space that you can really see that difference. This area, again, I'm being extremely close to the edge, but carefully. This is an area out the back of the main area that this is all accessible, right?
Yep, totally
Yes, Annie?
accessible. And so pretty. Like, our artist, Justin, I mean, I work in this space a lot, and every time I do, I'm still just
Yeah.
like, it's so lovely. Like, I
Yeah,
want to
it
do
is
it
really beautiful.
absolute justice. It's so gorgeous. Justin kicks butt.
Justin is fantastic, and the work put in on this has been great.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. I'm pretty sure it's no sky scales in the chapel, and yet here we are. All right.
How are they going
to
to tell you no? You're the commander.
Yeah, who's going to tell
I mean,
us?
there's nobody here yet. Well, nobody who can reach me. That giant tango is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
let's head
don't let
over
the police run out.
to. Let's head over here to. I have a mess hall.
I don't have
yeah.
anything.
Oh,
It's just
no.
empty space.
I have so
Oh.
I want to call this out just because it's going to get fixed, but the chairs haven't arrived yet in gameplay development, and I love that she's just like very resentfully and passive aggressively sitting on the floor, like
Sit here.
"Fine,
I'll drink my coffee.
I
Her
will
legs
eat
are
on the
tired. She
Yeah,
needs
right?
to sit.
She needs a switch.
Some days
Yeah, we
you
don't
just
have
need to
chairs yet, so she's mad about it. So like you don't even have her.
Nope.
Yeah. All right.
Mine has yet
So
to be built out.
let's talk about the mess hall, Annie.
So the mess hall, basically the way that we approached some elements of the revitalization is the whole hierarchy of needs idea. That, of course, the first step is food and shelter. And here's the food aspect of that. So all of a sudden, the Kestrels have a place to get some grub, albeit maybe not the best grub, as you will see communicated over there.
I'm
And there's
sorry, I
Sam,
have
and of
to.
course
Yeah,
the
let's talk about Sam just real quick, because first of all,
I named
he's
Sam after my first
motoring.
cat. Oh yeah, these are cats that as more people arrive in the space and there's more food, you're gonna get rats, and then of course you get working kitties like Lil Sam, who she is beautiful and hardworking. And if a rat should appear, she shall chase them down immediately. And of course you can play with them because it is a design standard I have proudly held throughout my career that if there are animals that are good animals in the space, cats and doggos, you can pet them. Yeah. That's an Annie promise to you.
Yeah. So
There will be pets.
that was a tiny sidetrack, and I'm sorry, but that was your first cat, so I wanted to make sure we gave Sam a little bit of love.
Yeah,
All right.
it's very appreciated.
Yeah. All right, so we're at level 2. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to talk to the quartermaster. I don't think you've.
I do not have the quartermaster.
Quartermaster shows up, and things are getting a little bit better.
So the quartermaster will have some access to some cool little things that you can buy, and also give a good sort of state of affairs of how things are at your sort of level of mastery. At first, they're like, well, we've got the basics. At the level at Ruby's at, there's Pepper and Dill, and they have a kitchen. And I think that's very important because Dill and Pepper are delicious with eggs. And I'm not even going to say anything about Tengu in that sort of regard where they get the eggs.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh, Annie!
Oh.
I hadn't gone there.
I hadn't gone there either.
Now I can't leave.
This is what happens live. I get these stats, and I have to share
Okay.
them. So
right.
we've got the head server, and we have a very salty brewer who has a very clear idea about who gets to have her wares and who does not. You're not a Kestrel, and so
I was just saying hi, but okay.
yeah,
I also
no touching.
I love the stink face that she's giving me. Like, look at that
Oh, yeah.
glare.
No tomfoolery.
Yeah,
like allowed
extremely
here.
Sheesh, fine. All right. Well, let's move on to another area because I really love what's in these next 2 rooms.
So this is related to the next step of the mastery, which you've gotten your needs taken care of, and now you move into crafting. So we've got a kitchen here with an actual cooking trainer. Next door, there's also something cool across the way, which we'll see later is a whole crafting hall.
Sorry, Morgan's over here like, no.
No, I don't have any of that.
I see nothing. You said there's fire. I see no fire.
I know. My fire is dead. My fire is extinguished.
Crafting will come.
Very
So-
relatable content.
So yeah, so you start getting crafting stations once this is up and running. It's pretty good. There's pie.
Oh yeah, and with the as with other areas in the area, that sounds very specific. Other areas in Arborstone, as your mastery increases, you're going to see more artisans and stuff show up. You're going to see sous chefs and servers start showing up to help ferry food into a increasingly populated mess hall. All these little things moving with space, and also more cats in the mess hall. You will
More
see
cats in the
other
mess hall.
cats. You will see my other cats appear in there because I'm the developer that owns the space, and I'm gonna name cats after my cats if I can.
Yes.
Another Annie
right.
guarantee.
All right, well, we're going to go to one of my favorites now. She's great. I love her.
Either.
Jewelry station. You can look at her over here.
Yeah, I'm looking at your screen now.
Look at all her
Oh,
majesty.
she's wonderful.
She's
Hello, I am
wonderful.
Jade.
But
Yes.
where's all her finery? Why is she not studded with gems on those
Yes,
pauldrons?
this is my issue, that I want her to have bracelets or something because she is the jeweler. But I'm going to talk to her and let you talk about her name, Annie. So what's your story? What's up with you?
So I'm the dork who thinks that like acronyms are the height of hilarity. Like I'm a big fan of MODOK, so of course I had to make Jadka, the jade automaton designed for creation of adornments, who technically is a piece of jewelry herself.
She is a piece
She
of
is
jewelry
jewelry.
herself. She's magnificent and I love her.
She's a masterwork.
She is great, yeah. All right, so there are more crafting stations. You don't just get cooking and jewelry crafting, but we'll get there. For now, let's go here.
So this beautiful area that is again a little absent and Morgan.
All right, this is making me feel bad.
Yeah, I know. Just turn on some sad music because I just spin in circles. My empty space, my empty heart.
So what is this place, Annie?
So this place was the place formerly known as the barracks. It was something like monks' cells or servants' quarters back in the day. And once you take it over and spruce it up a bit, it is now the inn at Arborstone. And you have a host, and you see more people showing up to rest here. And actually, speaking of resting, there's a very cool mechanic with this space. With Arborstone, I mentioned this is a player hub, and this is some place we wanted the players to feel tied to, and not just in building up the space, but if you hang out here in the inn, and you don't even have to be logged in for a certain amount of time. I love how Morgan's already getting into it. You have to unlock it first, Morgan. So
I know. I don't actually have the mechanic, but I'm gonna take a nap
It
anyway.
looks great over here.
It does. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, it's
But
workable.
you will get a very cool, well-rested buff, and that buff actually increases in intensity, as with many other things, as you up your levels of Arborstone revitalization. I don't even know if it's probably restoration, but in my heart, it's all those things.
Yeah,
It's revitalization.
It's everything.
It's radness.
I propose Radness as a canonical, some sort of level
Yes.
official. We can put numbers to it. It's fine.
Radness level at 2, radness
Yes.
level at 5.
All right. For now,
It goes up to
I wanna go
infinity
to-
because that's rad.
Okay, that's fair. All right, I want to go over here to my favorite salty NPC, but first, hey.
Out of many salty NPCs.
Oh, no.
So
And there's so
one of
many,
the-
like, to pick from.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a beautiful array of very, very salty NPCs. So another thing that's unlocked in that step 1 of that mastery is this beautiful surrogate that she'll take you to Scenic Lion's Arch. A very carefully built and negotiated item that, as you can see, the Kestrels in true Canthan bureaucracy format are rather carefully monitoring.
Yes, I got the cranky model. Look at her. Look at her face.
So happy
She is not here to help. She is
She's-
here to harm, to hinder, but anything but help.
She is so done with me. And I even have the,
Harm, hinder, harangue.
she has a job to do, right? But I love that I can ask her to hurry up, and she's like, no, absolutely not.
How
help,
dare!
not to hurry.
How dare!
What if there's a seed on your shoe? The world will be over.
Seeds on shoes are pretty serious business.
Okay, but
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to go over here to her cool friend because she's so much better. And the thing I love about this is just such a funny little flavor piece where I'm like, okay, so your friend over there is kind of an issue. And she's like, you know what? That's a them problem.
Once you go to the other side of that gate, not my problem.
The
I don't care.
extent to which she does
Yeah,
not care
she
about
doesn't
what
care.
happens on the other side of the gate is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, go have fun. Whatever.
Yeah.
This sounds like
Yeah,
a you
whatever.
problem. Sounds like a
Yes.
Julia problem.
Have fun storming Lion's Arch.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got the Assur Gate unlocked at level 1, and we talked about these portals. I'm just gonna.
I do have the portals, thankfully.
here.
The Kestrels are much more generous than the Exalted.
Yeah, we start you
Another thing.
out with the portals, and let's go ahead and use them because sometimes stairs are for suckers.
Oh yeah.
Let's take this teleporter to the 3rd level.
This is a place I like to call the Overlook for probably pretty obvious reasons. Because it looks out over all Dish Majesty.
Look at this. Oh, well, excuse me.
And this
Dismounted
isn't even
by
the
going into
highest
combat.
point. This isn't even the highest point in Arborstone. Because, again, as reference, heckin' huge.
Yeah, look at this Kestrel crossing down here on the bridge. All right, and over here,
Bitty.
there is this statue that I'm just going to leave alone for now. I'll let you all do that after End of Dragons launches.
It might lead to a little something like, a jumping puzzle or something like that. With these kind of suspicious, beautiful mushrooms and this beautiful... see, I'm terrible at jumping puzzles, so I'm looking at that like, I'll fall there, I'll fall there.
Yep.
That's
But
the
you
place
know
where I'll
what?
definitely fall.
I would like to point out the lack of mounts have been disabled in this area.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
So Annie, I have news for you.
I can use
You
a
can have your
mount on
mounts.
this jumping puzzle.
You
This
can.
is exciting.
Oh,
I'm
I will not
excited.
interact. Yeah. So yeah, this is one. And do you want to talk a little bit about what this does, Annie, without too many spoilers?
So interacting with this one, I got to be a little vague with it,
Yes.
but it is something where even noobs like me, who are gonna fall off that thing all the time, even with mounts, are going to be able to participate and basically have different levels of success. You can run around and be extremely thorough with what you pick up, or just try to get to the top as fast as possible. No way is a wrong way for that jumping puzzle. And it's
Yeah.
just one of the many things, like secret things or elements to find that are scattered around this very large space that I will not give
Very
away.
large,
because it's fun to
empty
find.
space from my point of view.
I'm sorry.
An empty bookshelf is a crime. That is a crime.
Yeah,
That cannot be.
let's-
We won't stand for this. We will fill that with books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is exactly the approach that I like to hear people taking.
Yeah. So we've got the library here. And then let's go over to the reading room with a quick pause to admire the art because one of the things that I've loved since launch back in 2012 is the art on the walls is so beautiful. So that one's familiar. I love that it's just in here and part of it. And we have the reading room.
This is definitely where
this
I'm going to
space-
be.
Is a little bit, I wouldn't say sparse, but a little bit, you got your boxes. It's sort of like a college dorm room in that your furniture is just sort of whatever somebody leaves out on the side of the road with free sign on it, or just leaves unattended for a certain amount of time. Not that I ever did that. But this is it before it has been improved. And let me tell you, when you get that level to make this space beautiful, it is outstanding. And there are plenty of places.
Oh no. So
Don't fall
this is one thing I was asking about earlier, and I just want to call this out. This big fireplace. I'm so excited to just advance that and have this gorgeous set piece.
Yeah.
And maybe do something about this cozy reading chair because
Yeah.
I have opinions on that.
I am going to curl up
yeah.
in front of this big fire when it's there.
Yeah.
With a book. With a book.
And it is a
with the latest Snargle Gold
massively
book.
gorgeous,
The latest Snargle book?
roaring
Yeah,
fire.
definitely the latest Snargle book.
All right. Let's keep going. Let's look around over here.
So here we have the
And-
crafting hall.
Yeah, I did promise more crafting. All right, Annie, let us know. Walk us through it. I'm just admiring how did they get all that stuff on the walls?
That's a lot. We haven't, technically speaking, you're probably a little light on entertainment options so far in Arborstone. So I can imagine that crafter with, less stuff to do decided to really push the envelope on her display to really get people's attention. So these are the
approve.
6 professions that was not mentioned previously. So you've got cooking and jewel crafting on the other side, and here you have the 3 armor and weapons disciplines, which I'm going to mess up if I try to recite, but I'm going to do it anyway. You've got tailoring, artificing, leatherworking, huntsmanship, I always want to call it something different. Armor smithing and weaponsmithing.
I do
And,
kind of love where the tailoring station is right now. This just like the dye pots are such a fun little touch.
I don't have them.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
When you get it, it's going to be so great.
It is.
When
I'm
End
going to
of
work
Dragons-
hard to unlock these
Yeah.
masteries.
When End of Dragons launches, I will help you because I will
Okay.
still feel bad about sitting over here going, look at how beautiful.
I know.
Oh, you
Flaunting-
can't.
Oh, so
Flaunting
sorry.
your unlocked area.
Yeah. So you get all of your crafting areas unlocked, and they keep improving. They keep getting better as you expand those masteries. All right. Let's take one more look. Let's just take a little walk across the bridge and look at how absolutely gorgeous this is. And again, like Annie said earlier, we weren't even at the highest point. We're about mid-level right now.
Yeah.
And the bridge is just, my gosh, I can hear the wind in my ear.
Yeah.
The creak of the slats.
Yeah.
Well constructed, but it's still old.
Oh no. All right, so we don't want to go too much farther because we want to leave, as always, lots for you to find on your own. But Annie, why don't you give us another quick rundown of what this is, and let's talk a little bit about what's at Tier 5, maybe some collections, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. So this is, to reiterate everything, this is the gorgeous Arborstone space. It is a social space. It is open world. It's using some of the tech from our most beloved Eye of the North and the very awesome Sun's Refuge. And it'll allow you to hang out there with your friends, even though you have different levels of mastery, and see and do different stuff, as you have seen. And there are 5 levels to the mastery. You've only seen 2 so far. One is for living spaces, and so you have cool stuff like the barracks and the mess hall, in addition to the Assurgate. And 2 is crafting, so you get all kinds of neat crafting stuff. So as to what the others might be, 3, I mentioned people might be kind of bored in that space, as cool as it is, and might want something in the realm of, I don't know, entertainment. And I also mentioned previously where the merchants were, that it was looking a little bare, and that maybe something could be done with that commerce area. For 5, that would be a lot of spoilers, but I will say a big thing about this space is that there's a lot of cool collections that might come here, that might draw
Yeah.
your attention back.
Yeah, as the space gets built out, it attracts a lot of interesting people, some old friends, some new friends that have some collections that'll take us all around the world to learn more about what's going on and the history and the people whose company we enjoy.
Yeah. So I look forward to everybody getting here and working with me to help Morgan level her masteries up. Please, we're gonna get you there because we owe that to you.
You
now.
do. I just did a lot of running through an empty space, a lot of empty space.
I have my chat box is just full of your character going to sleep over and over.
Dancing
That
on
said,
things.
Yes.
Annie, I do have to give you and everyone who worked on this kudos for, even at level 0, when you have none of these masteries up and running, you've still got like all of the basics there. There's still so much to do, and it's still absolutely gorgeous. It is so pretty.
Thanks. There's so much in the space to explore still, and there's so much love from myself and from pretty much everybody who touched this space to make something cool happen. And we're not even done yet, so keep an eye
Yeah.
out. Run around the space as soon as you can get into it, and take all kinds of screenshots. Like, show every nook and cranny that you can get into. Dance on Dwayna's head. Go for it.
Yeah.
I give you my blessing.
Dance like Dwayna is watching,
You give your blessing,
or like
Annie.
she isn't watching.
So yeah, a couple of things that Annie has said. I was over here going, oh, that's right. I really look forward to all of you getting in here, running around, discovering what there is discovering the collections, discovering the gameplay, finding out what else is in there. There was an event has started that I just kind of quietly ignored.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
all right,
Nothing
so
to see there.
We just kept walking.
let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a reason we only explored very specific parts of this space. So that's our show for today, and that is our show for 2021. We went over the legendary weapon variants. We went over a lot of story characters with Morgan and Quan. We took a tour of the new guild hall, and we showed you the first parts of the Arborstone Revitalization Mastery track. We have if you need more Cantha, we have something for you now. The End of Dragons 4th beta event is live in the game right now. All 9 elite specializations are available to play, as is the Siege Turtle mount. That's going on until Saturday night, December 4th. Also, every day you log in and play the beta in Guild Wars 2, excuse me, is a chance to win this DX Racer gaming chair that we are partnering with DX Racer to give away. So enter to win that. Have some fun playing the beta event, and good luck on that. Path of Fire, if you don't have the Path of Fire expansion quite yet and you're still thinking about it, this is when you want to do that, because it is 50% off at Amazon right now through the end of December. Our next show is January 28th. We're going to go heads down. We're going to get some work done. We're going to take a little break around the holidays, and then we're going to be back with some more End of Dragons for you guys on January 28th. Again, thank you all for spending this time with us since the First Look live stream in July. It's been the year has been a lot. The past few months have been incredible to get to share more and more of End of Dragons with you and to help you build that picture of what that's going to be like. And we are all incredibly excited to come play this game with you in February. So next show, January 28th, head over to the Guild Wars 2 website in just a few minutes to read more about the legendary weapons. And as always, thank you for spending time with us. We will see you in the new year. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.